Not too long ago, the U.S. Federal Reserve made news when it issued a statement about the use of XRP currency. Delato of the Federal Reserve branch in St. Louis spoke with Senior Vice President David recently about the possible uses of Ripple in the realm of payment processing technology. There has been much emphasis on the fact that Ripple depends on XRP to enable these transactions. In some situations, the Federal Reserve might assign payment duties to a third party, like Ripple, according to David Antifoli. The value of XRP could rise significantly as a result of this event, possibly surpassing the $10,000 mark if it materializes. Furthermore, it is important to remember that the Federal Reserve's decision is not entirely unexpected. A few weeks ago, or perhaps even a month ago, the Federal Reserve made a formal statement acknowledging that XRP and XLM could help improve the blockchain portion of their FedNow payment service. Given that Ripple is widely recognized for its open-source financial transaction technology, and it's because Ripple's technology has been integrated into the FedNow payment service, it is gaining a lot of attention due to its creative methods for transferring payments across international borders. It is predicted that the value of XRP would soar to heights that no one could have predicted. You're welcome. You can trust us with everything related to XRP. I would love it if you could join our group by clicking the like, subscribe, and alerts buttons before we begin. A substantial amount of XRP, when we hit 60,000 followers, it will be given to all of our followers. In order to submit your offer, you must follow these 3 easy steps. Make sure you complete each and every one of the tasks. To guarantee that you are assigned a slot, include a code in the comments section. Let us now turn our attention to the current matter. The collaboration between Ripple and the Federal Reserve was formally announced on the federalreserve.gov website. Right now, we are concentrating on this collaboration. In the section on the Faster Payment Task Force approach in the publication titled, The U.S. Path to Faster Payments, Ripple is mentioned as a key player in the Federal Reserve's efforts to create payment solutions. The remarkable potential of Ripple to facilitate real-time payments to other nations is covered in the article. These transfers frequently take 2 to 4 days to process, and the fees are hard to understand and keep track of. Ripple can change this by enabling you to show the whole status of payments and fees, as well as to directly settle payments and fees. At that time, we discovered that Ripple and the Fed have expanded their partnership to include funds based in the United States. A range of content that viewers may pause and read at their own pace supports this. Much of the paper is devoted to detailing how central banks like the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, and the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority work with Ripple to improve the domestic payment system. With a focus on the provision of a free real-time settlement infrastructure globally, the paper also highlights the advancements made by Ripple Labs at the most basic level of payment processing. The Federal Reserve is going to embrace and deploy Ripple's decentralized peer-to-peer settlement mechanism, which means that it will replace the methods currently employed for money transfers. Looking back, we can see that this change was already manifesting. The Ripple logo was displayed prominently during an article on Fox News a year ago, which was presented by the Federal Reserve and talked about the potential for a digital America. Further evidence of interest in Ripple's technology comes from the announcements made by the Federal Reserve Board, the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, that they have added Ripple to their list of operating in the shadows partners. The Bank of International Settlements, or BIS, is in charge of overseeing most of the world's monetary resources. This becomes more and more clear as you learn more about the fascinating field of international finance. The reality that the fact that Ripple has joined this market is a really positive move. This paper comes from the Department of the Interior and quotes Jess Chan, a senior council member at the Frederickshire Board of Governors. Jess, a former Deputy General Council member of Ripple, is thought to be leading this effort. It all comes together quite nicely, and there is a lot to unpack here. For people who would rather know the smallest details, this is a terrific place to be. That's right. However, that is only the start. What I'm about to say may surprise a large number of you. The Federal Reserve recently issued a statement expressing worry that financial institutions may suffer losses as a result of rising interest rates and pressures in the real estate market. It's an amazing development that they have been talking about this issue with several different partners since the beginning of March. It seems that the European Union and the BRICS countries also want to employ XRP. Additionally, The European Union has stated that XRP will be the cornerstone of the future because of wealth exchanges are managed using the XRP ledger and a digital euro. This claim, which indicates that the value of XRP is about to soar, is supported by information from a number of reports. According to one of the most renowned analysts, it will rise to a peak of $500.50 in the near future and could potentially hit $10,000 as it expands globally. One of the creators of Ripple, Arthur Brurto, is credited with coming up with this concept. As we watch the film, it is clear that the story of XRP is changing quickly. After the conclusion of the BRICS countries have decided to work with Ripple to build their central bank digital currency on the XRP technology, notwithstanding the regulatory battle between the SEC and Ripple. According to recent news sources, this digital currency, produced by a central bank supported by the BRICS countries, is expected to grow into a major financial tool on a worldwide scale. Furthermore, there are hints that Ripple has a substantial network in each of the BRICS countries, which we will look into further. The starting point of our voyage will be Brazil, the site of a highly important event. Brazil has launched a revolutionary transaction liquidity service for cryptocurrencies on demand with Ripple's help. The country's financial technology environment has advanced significantly as a result of this project's implementation. The next country we will talk about in this essay is Russia. Numerous pieces of evidence make it abundantly evident that President Putin has changed his policies to distance himself from the US dollar and the petrodollar. Since SWIFT decided to refuse Russia access to their specific payment, there has been a noticeable movement toward Ripple Labs' system. The goal of the XRP system is to establish a central bank digital currency for the Russian Federation, known as the CBDC. In addition to breaking the SWIFT restriction, this move takes advantage of the decentralized nature of the XRP ledger, which is a major benefit. As a result, this guarantees Russia's continued participation in the international banking system, while concurrently directing attention towards India. India's massive digital rupee program is being propelled by Ripple, which is at the front of yet another important undertaking. The technology created by the project's central component, Ripple Labs, is a major step forward for India's ambitions to create a CBDC on a global basis. That's not the end of the narrative, though. China is joining the battle as well, working with Ripple to get into the market for digital currencies that are issued